Hi there, Randy Green here, and welcome to the HAL Project Changemaker course 4 that has as a headline, Heading Towards a New Way of Living. And the idea is, perhaps or perhaps not, this will lead into more special courses under the HAL Project New Living. But for now, we have kind of covered the basis with the diet as well as exercise, and there is this continuously lingering on with how we're going to do with the work, what we're going to do with the business. And I have put a little bit of information here and there and everywhere. But at some point, within the next 5 years, I will come up with some more specific material regarding how to start our own business under the new regulations, because this is what this course is going to be about. As you know, or might not know, all depending on when you're doing this course, for now it's 2022, September. And for now, I have got the Google site up and running with the new reality programs and what they are. But to make sure that that's part of the open resources, so people can look at there and kind of get the news of, okay, this is what's been implementing right now. But I have also decided to make courses where I'm explaining these little nuggets, because it's no more than nuggets I'm putting out on the Google side in detail. And with that, I have made what I'm writing on the Google side is now also being copied into text material that will follow the new reality program courses, of which there now are 4, where the first one is explaining the holographic information systems, as well as the directives and how they are to be understood. And here I am talking on the level that they are to be understood. And we are talking some pretty advanced type of sciences, which most of you probably will feel that your brain is exploding while you're listening to it. But that's where we're heading. That's why we are having the directives and the regulations that are coming in. And I also explained there are the differences between laws and directives as well as regulations. And you can kind of sense there is a 3-step ladder here, as in the laws are the ones where you come under a trial and get pushed out of the new reality program, so to speak. And then there are the directives that are put in there. You will have a 3-step possibility there. You will get 3 strikes. And if you miss these ones, you're out. And then there are the regulations that are what we call all up to you. But of course, if you continuously go against the regulations, as we're seeing it inside our reality, you'll get warnings. And if you don't listen to the drone technology telling you these things, well, then you will be pushed out of the new reality programs. And some of you might say, well, I want to do that. I don't want to be part of that. And it is a free choice, as always. But as I said in the HAL Changemaker course 1, where I just uploaded a video 10 today, it is all up to you what you choose to do or not. But for me, being a survivalist and always thinking in terms of, okay, this is just another challenge. This is just another thing I have to deal with in my ability to handle energy and consciousness. And there's no difference between that or any other system I have been in. So I'll just as well run along with where there is a viability rate that ensures that I can do the work that I need to do. And since I am of the progressive worlds that already follows the laws and the principles and the rules. Remember, the laws and the rules and the principles, or the principles and the rules and the laws you decide yourself, and has no problem whatsoever living under these directives and regulations telling me what I can and cannot do to preserve the reality field. And the new reality programs are there as well. But of course, we could say, is it preserving it for humanity? Absolutely not. Is it preserving it for the ones that are moving on and doing the transition? Yes. So the question is, do you want to do the transition or not? And if you want to do the transition, well, this is the highway that you can join, or you can say, I don't want to take that. I want to take one of the side roads, and then you run your own show, and you can do that too. Nobody says that you have to do it in a specific way. And I always claim that Right now we are on the same highway, but eventually, as that's my plan at least, and I might fail, I might not live up to my plan, and then I'll make another plan, because that's how we do it as change makers. We have a plan A, B, and C, and we'll follow through with plan A. And if it doesn't do what we needed to do, we either adjust it or we do plan B. So we have these options we create for ourselves in our energy work and our clearing work, where we are observant of, okay, what suits our purpose the best? What suits the way that we want to develop our consciousness potentials, as well as how do we want to progress our energy system? So it's all up to remembering who and what we are, serving as progressive humans inside this reality under the laws and principles and rules of the original progressive races, that we are doing it for the highest good of the many, that we are under what called the green card of diplomats, diplomatically participating in this reality and not interfering with it, but are not aligning with, but we have created some kind of concord where we are running parallelly with their world and what they are creating. And they are allowing us to do so because they understand that eventually we will go to the right and they will continue their path. And we are not joining them and we're not interfering unless they're interfering with us. We're following the principles. And here's principle 2, the law of energetic balance. If they don't interfere, we don't interfere with them. But we are in the same transition momentum, or what we call vacuum of transition. And there are rules that comes in with when a reality field goes into its devastation cycle. There is this evac protocol, and that's the one we are under now. And the evac protocol ensures that certain races can come in and put in host field for their races to get out. They are also allowing for other races to join these host fields if we like, and then we come under the laws of joint space and how to coexist within the same space and within the same energy. And by that, we have to adhere to the laws and the regulations under that host field. Hence the new reality programs, because they are under these host fields. And that's why I've taken out 4 courses to explain that in detail on each and one of the segments of what's happening and why it's happening and what the technology is and the true understanding of these levels of information systems that are being implemented into our reality. And it's not for the sake of humanity, it's for the sake of the different races that are here, as we saw it with the Kalontics that activated their groups to get them out. And we're not talking the organic vessel here because that's engineered for the enclosure. We are talking about everything else that needs to move on. And in the Progression Work course material, I have shown to you and explained to you how you can create your light body. So it's not that I haven't given you the information, it's there. The sciences of that is in the Progression Work courses, from the basic concepts and into the template science course material. So that's all taken care of. So now we can focus a little bit on with the Changemaker material. Okay, what does this mean for us psychologically speaking when we are living with this new type of reality and have and are doing the progression work? I touched ground a little bit within the Future Human Project course 1 to 4, but here we are moving to the next step some 5 or 6 years later. And we now know reality. When I did the Future Human Project course material, still a lot of nuggets of gold there, still a lot of really solid information. That is the foundation of many of the other psychological discussions and elaborations I've had later on. So it's still, if you haven't done it, still worth doing that course, including the New Grand Cycle Transition Course 1 and 2, which are the 2, actually 5 courses that are left of the original basic concept of foundational concepts course material. The rest is now out for free because it is the transition sciences from the transition science course material into the advanced clearing work and into the template science course material are the ones that will really teach people how to do the progression work. The basics are just kind of getting people warmed up. So we are here doing the change makers as well, which is also kind of for everybody to get warmed up that are not necessarily deep in their progression work, because if they were, they would already be following, they would get the information themselves. Or for those who do get it for themselves, they can use this as a supplement to the psychological level of, okay, what does it mean to be a change maker? And how do we live accordingly? Because that's always been the great problem. And with the extra systemic add-ins and the pioneer work there, I focus on the sciences, which is why the course material there will be at that level, because that's the next step of where we need to go to understand these sciences on their correct level as extraterrestrial sciences. Okay. And that's why we need to go if we want to stay on the highway. We can't stay on the highway and be within the mindset of the base program, as I explained in the first course of the new reality programs. And it follows with the laws of energetic and genetic affinity. What you are energetically and what you are consciously will place you in that locality of the holographic network that is behind the new reality programs. And the directives are aimed at keeping you, what we say, within that locality that you are creating for yourself, but not in a negative way per se, but as if you want to maintain your position and what you have achieved, you are allowed to do as much as you like on your own behalf. But if you want to stay within the host field, you must follow the laws and you must follow the regulations and the directives, and you must understand the deeper scientific implications and energetic implications of this. So that's the sciences of the Changemaker trinity that will be covered there, because here in the Changemaker I have alluded to it here and there, but as always, things need to be explained in their own references and in their own frame of references, so that when we talk about the extraterrestrial or the extrasystemic sciences, they must be on their own level and cannot be implemented into our human processes of becoming change makers, from where we understand that our everyday life and everything we are is about changing energy into the highest purity rate, the highest standards, and the highest progression rate, because that's how we'll reconnect to what we could say the original reality field network that is behind the enclosure. And our transition is, of course, out of the enclosure along with everybody else, the highway, to get out of here. And then the enclosure and everything that's there will be left behind for the transhuman agenda that will take over alongside with their dark pals that will be lurking in the background. So that's how it's going to go with the everyday base program world that most people are accustomed to right now. And that, of course, raises questions, as in, I'm just going to repeat a little bit because I have talked about it so many times. 60% of the human population inside the enclosure are clones. They do not have consciousness potentials. They do not have an energy system that goes with the density energies. They are only electromagnetic energies. They have a mind field. They have a biofield. They have an emotional field, but these are controlled by programs. So they are by all means organic robots, and they are likable, and you might know one or two, some of your family members might be that, and they are not evil. They are not here to take over the world as in some weird science fiction movie. They have been here since the dawn of time, of the current time table and the time that we are living in, some 12,000 years ago. They are part of the new races that were created, the new vessel. And only within what we could say 40% of the human population do we have people with the original types of genetics of the solar system. That's 10%. That's definitely watered out extensively due to the replication and chop up of templates and division of energy system on artificial timelines, and the harvesting percentage has been enormous on the true human or solar system humans consciousness potentials as well as their original consciousness units and energy units, which is why we could say, yeah, there might be 10%, but the viability rate is not high. And a lot of reconstruction has to be done to get back up and running. And we know and we remember and recall from the template sciences that if you have just a few viable genetics, then by your effort and your clearing work and your energy work and your reconstruction, working with complex information systems can assist you in rebuilding what we could say a division of whatever you have got left of few genetics, because technically you only need one viable original consciousness unit since it holds the entirety of everything you are in that one unit. Which is why some of the artificial timelines just have one of our units inside some of the storyboard. I call them spheres because that's how they look, little semi-artificial realities that are completely holographic, and they only need one of our units inserted there, and then it naturally blasts out in its own perception field and see it as an entire reality, which is so weird to look at it from outside. It's probably the size of a basketball, and then inside, then that little one unit experiences it as a whole universal structure because it has the same complexity in its holographic buildup. So the consciousness units will perceive it as if it is an existing life form inside that universe, which is mind-blowing looking at it. But that's how it is. And of course, it's in our clearing work, we get rid of these units and disconnect them from the spherical artificial reality it has become part of. And most of the time we must evaporated because it's so worn out. It's kept up artificially via the cube systems and some of the artificial energy spheres that are linked to the storyboard technology. All of that I explain in the advanced clearing work. Perhaps not in these words, but the steps to get to this level of understanding, because as everything that goes with the original worlds and the original holographic realities is that they are layer by layer by layer by layer, and they always expand in different directions since they are technically vector driven on different sets of matrices that will expand, all depending on what type of energy that is being loaded up into the patterns of change. And that's some of the things about the new reality program, but it must be explained entirely on its own level. And I don't know how many of you that's going to do these courses, but they have to be made. So I have kept up my end of the bargain, because with these races that are here now and that are providing what we call the holographic network and information systems that are behind the new reality program, they are trade races, and they are here to complete their trade routes so they can disconnect and move on. And then there are the new version of the bloodlines that are called the enhanced humans, and their projects into the futures they want to shift out of because they've already been in their futures and seen where that led to, and that is not where they wanted to go. So as I said, they teamed up with some of the ones from the parallel universal matrix. And some of these groups from the parallel universal matrix are just on both sides of the fence. They don't really know where they want to go yet, if they want to do the enhanced humans or if they want to go with the parallel universal matrix. You could say the incentive for them to go with the enhanced humans is that they would have a high position in the hierarchy, whereas in the parallel universal matrix, they would be in place pretty low because many of these groups are technically insectoids. Okay, so that was just a little bit of that one. Regarding the parallel universal matrix, whatever that is doing here, the races that are doing there, they have got the American continent, North, South, and Canada as well, the entire continent. So that's theirs. That's where they have focused their energies and their projects. And then we have on the other side, we have Russia, China, and India that are going to go with some of the older Orion types of races that have been here, the technocratic worlds that have been here for quite some time, and they will continue their thing for a while, and then they will pull out, and then the plan is probably the Greys, the transhuman agenda will take over, since they're already present there. And once the top notch or the top brass is gone, well, then they will just take over, as they have done with so many other realities. Once the leaders go, they don't clean up the technologies. They just leave it for the Greys to deal with, because the Greys are engineered to maintain that reality, and they will do it as long as they can until they break down, and then it all falls apart. But that's kind of what they get. The Greys, they will have a period of time where they can do their own thing. And we've experienced the same in our world as well. But the Greys here, they invited in the insectoids quite some time ago. And that has led to a rate of overpopulation, because that's what insectoids do. They're like grasshoppers. They don't know how to stop themselves. They will keep procreating until everybody that has come in had got an organic form, and that has not worked well. Anyway, so I'm just saying there's nothing left there. There's nothing left for us to mourn the loss over, because it never was a world to begin with. We've just been made to believe so due to our programming and our limited perception field and what is controlling our mind field. So or the mental field. So therefore, it's what we think is out there is an illusion, and you will not find any teaching system in the world that's not telling you that when it comes to the higher spiritual teaching systems. They always say it's glamour, Maya, illusion, distortion, astral, you pick yourself. So the whole attempt to try and preserve something that is not real is the whole transition to become real and to get into what we could say the true worlds of existence, and see things as they truly are and not what you want them to be because it suits your comfort zone. Again, with the psychological processes of fear of change and fear of the challenges that you will get when you begin to get into what we could say the transition dynamics, and understanding that everything you are in terms of true existence is something that you will have to change. And that's also why I called it the Changemakers, because this is where we use the understanding of what a change maker truly is, not just within the base program understanding of a social entrepreneur, but also understand as change makers of our own lives into a higher type of energy. Everything must be reviewed and looked at and changed via what we call a rhythm of everyday energy work and everyday living and everyday way of existing. And at the same time, we must also have a discipline in achieving the goals and the strategies that we put in front of ourselves and what we create, make that happen. And if it doesn't happen, well, then off the table with it, create a new idea, create a new plan, and then follow that one. And if that doesn't happen, another one will come in. And it's that in that planning that the new reality programs will become important for us to understand, because they're going to run the reality. And if we are working with energy and the reality is being driven in a specific way by the reality programs, we need to understand the new reality programs, because they will determine how much energy we will be able to utilize. And how much energy we'll be able to utilize will depend on what we have to offer them. Trade. Something, give something to get something, right? Quid pro quo, as you know in Latin. Give something to get something. And that's how these races are working. And if you do it in that peaceful manner that they are also doing their work here, everybody has an understanding. This is closure time. We are under evac. So we work as peaceful as we can, sharing the same space, sharing the same feels under coexistence, sharing the same space, so to speak. But we are not interfering with each other's work. So we'll keep to our own work. And that is some of the things that are going to be difficult, since quite a lot of us have this enslavement body that is prone to parasitic creation, that is prone to link up to prohibited technologies. Even though we keep clearing it out, it keeps coming back, because we are re-engineered to uphold and fit the base program, and we're not re-engineered and created to uphold the new reality programs. That's part of the change making as well, for us to figure out, okay, what does it take to change ourselves and to be able to coexist within the new reality programs without being submerged and entangled into the holographic information systems, but are playing with them as an opposition, as you learned in the transition science material. So that demands, of course, a lot of new ways to be human. And that's what is the idea with this fourth course, is where I'll focus on that one entirely. You have heard me say it so many times in many different contexts and many different versions. But here we now have some kind of say, well, it's always been there as part of the progression work. But now we are also really implementing it in, and here is the implementing, the third leg of the Changemaker material. We are beginning to implement it into a new way of living. And I always said for a better future, and you know I play with words, so now you understand what I mean with a better future. I never meant that I was going to change this world as it is and get everybody on board, because I always known that was not possible. But due to the mechanics of relative reality and the understanding of holographic information systems and how host fields work and how your perception of the world and what you're part of depends on your energy system and your neural network and how it processes information, you will understand that if you reconstruct yourself, you will have a different perception of reality, and you will, via the new reality programs, see a quite different world than the ones that will remain inside the base program. And you will say, how is that possible? Well, for starters, try not to read the news for a while. Don't look at anything that tells you about the world out there. Don't look at YouTube. Don't look at anything. Just take a week off for all sorts of social media. And then see what you will experience. You will discover that all you really experience is your little local point on the holographic network that you call your town. Where you go is what you will perceive. So if things happens around the world, in India or in America or whatever, depending on where you live, and you don't watch the news and you don't do social network and you don't get any information from others, you will not know. It will not be part of your perception field. You will not give it energy. You will not link up to it. It will not be part of your thought processes. All you will focus on will be what you experience in your home and in your street, and if you're out in walking in the woods or wherever. It will be what you perceive locally. And that's relative reality. So if you change foundationally and become something entirely else that is so in tuned with what we say the higher order levels of our reality, although still under the different incoming races or the enhanced humans and their elitist network, because it's definitely there. They live here, but they have a completely different reality. They are playing inside this reality, are playing a different reality setup than the rest of us, the rich and the fortuned, right? So they have a completely different reality than the rest of us. So if you kind of just play along with these ideas, then relative reality and how by changing who and what you are energetically and what you think about and how you feel will change your part of the world and what you will come in contact with is completely logical. It's no mind-boggling, how is that even possible? It's just kind of things will shift around you. Simple as that. And if you really get good at staying in the energies of the new reality programs, you will see that the world you will be part of will be a better future. You will see that the humans there are working to solve the issues of the environmental issues. You will see humans around you that are all vegan. You will see humans around you that are working to gain technology that is renewable energy, that is working towards renewable energy. You will not see political intrigues and all sorts of stupid stuff that you read in the news, because you stop reading the news. And eventually, when you look at the internet and you want to look for something that will teach you about sustainable energy or resource allocation of resources on the planet, or new ways of producing something that goes with some very specific keywords you will get when you look it up on the internet, you will get on the secondary version of the internet where you will find this information, and eventually you'll become part of these future human communities. It's all being put in. And of course, it's not going to be, oh yeah, we want to go there and then we'll live happily ever after. We will be visitors. Those of us who want to continue from there will be sojourning their future human communities. But again, give something to get something, and we will have something to offer that they can use as well. Not our genetics, not harvesting, because that is definitely not part of their plan. Let us put it this way. That was part of the Old World Order agenda and the Dracos that put that in motion. But everybody kind of knows that is unlawful on all levels of existence. And when you do such things, the 12 choices of living, of non-exploitation in whatever manner, we also understand that the more civilized communities and civilizations, they don't do that because they don't need to do that. They replicate whatever they have got in storage that have not been bought or have been come in their hands in a legal manner. They know how to re-engineer genetics that are suitable for their realities. It's just because the races that have been sojourning our solar system wanted to get what we could call the high viability rate that the original solar system humans had in their genetics. But we also know that we have been worn out to such a degree that we're not high in value anymore, to be honest. So whoever is being run to the ground still is because the factions that are sucking on the remains of the bones of the human that they're part of their projects is because they have no other ways. They are not welcome in the future communities. They're not welcome in the worlds of the parallel universal matrix. They're not welcome in the worlds of the enhanced humans and some of the other races that are coming in that are aligning with the enhanced humans. So the enhanced humans are under the directives as well. So everybody's changing their ways for those of us who want to continue doing the transition. The ones that are not changing their ways are the ones that are going to be either sucked into the abyss or fall under the dark agenda or become part of the transhuman agenda or the technocratic worlds because they have not learned it yet. And they are so low in the what we call the advancement of knowledge, that which many people call spirituality, but that's so inaccurate as it can be, because a mantid is not spiritual, never will be, because it doesn't adhere to a god or a deity or anything that goes with the idea of a spirit as we understand it. So therefore spiritual is the wrong word, but advancement of knowledge and understanding of reality and sciences of reality, when we talk about being advanced in terms of neurological complex information systems that allows them to perceive reality in an expanded way, then there are races that are definitely much more advanced that are working with the enhanced humans, as well as with some of the ones that are joining the enhanced humans, as well as some of the parallel universal matrix communities and all of these different groups that we will get to know once we get there ourselves. So there's a lot in the learning process that we need to do. And that's part of the whole new living as an implementation, where we shift, as I've been trying to assist you with for the last 10 years, out of all old base program, old world order based program settings, all types of spirituality, all sorts of all religions, including Buddhism. I only put it there. Let me repeat it one more time. I only put it there as an example, but also so that you can shut that one down, and also to show you, similar with the Balaam material, as an opposition. This is what they try to do, and then trying to give you some keywords into, okay, this is actually what they tried to achieve, and this is why it didn't succeed. So how can we do that better? And that's part of the implementation process. How can we do that better? We have had a lot of people on this planet that have been trying to do the transition in their own time and in their own age. And some of them have succeeded and some have not. Some have not been from this system to begin with, so therefore their transition were perhaps more easy. For those of us who are of the original solar system humanities, all of the technologies that we have been connected to or have been part of are being removed by the new grand cycle. So everything is being cleared up around us, which means that we will build some kind of new energetic structure following what we have got stored in our energy system as well as in our consciousness units. And that's some of the, again, all of the things that needs to be done to get us there. But I am working on some kind of extra systemic, transformative awareness of some sort. That will come up as the next step of our developmental process into advanced knowledge and a full-blown understanding of not just ourselves and others as we're focused on the progression work and the basics, but go into us and reality where we become knowledgeable about the reality field that we're part of, because that's basic knowledge for all advanced civilizations. You need to know who you are, who are the others, what's the world you're part of, what is it made of. And we have our version of in the base program, but most people don't know this. In the advanced communities, everybody knows that. And there are no children, by the way, because nobody's being born. They are engineered and are spawned in typically at the age of 13, 14. And then they're being mentored and they are schooled as they have this slow growth rate or expedited, all depending on how quickly they want to do this, what they're engineered for. Some has a longer period to grow their complex information systems behind their molecular state, where others have what we could call a shorter period of time if they don't need to be positioned within complex functionalities and purposes inside the society. So the more complex information system that's behind the molecular state or the organic vessel, the higher level they will become, hence a longer period of maturing, so to speak, to grow into their functionality so that as many as possible complex information patterns can be built in by what we could say a longer period of specific types of experiences. Whereas if you're just going to go and become part of the factory, to put it that way, as we're seeing it with the workers inside our reality, well, 1 or 2 years of schooling will suffice, and they will typically be born at around the age of 21. I said born there, right? Programming. They will be engineered to come into existence around the year of what we would see in human years as the age of 21. And then they will do their work for that period of time until their molecular state wears down, as it naturally does when you only build to exist horizontally and not vertically. So you can hear there is quite a lot of different perception of life forms and value systems and ethics and moral and a lot of new stuff that we have to learn. It's not just about the nuts and bolts or how the crafts are engineered, because that's the easy peasy part of it. No, the difficult part is what we call the organic sciences, the reality sciences, the elevation sciences, the continuation sciences, and all of these sciences that ensures what we could say a developmental process of the vessel and the consciousness potentials as well as the energy system behind the vessel. And that's all put into different classifications and within different purposeful functionality inside these different societies that have a very strict hierarchical structure that is in alignment with the holographic information system of that reality field. And these are some of the sciences we need to know, because in the true worlds, as well as in the worlds that we are becoming part of, the future human communities, the reality field and the ones that exist there are closely interlinked. So therefore, nobody can do whatever they want to do, because they will harm the entire reality field due to the holographic principles. Remember, one unit can affect the rest of the network. The first of many. If one can do it, others can do it too. And that's the ripple effect of our consciousness potentials into the entire network on that level of energy that we are utilizing. Hence, we must really follow the directives and the regulations not to mess up the host field. And they're not giving second chances because they know the contamination rate of us inside the base program and the infection rate, as well as the distortion that we are carrying. So we are getting the chance, but we are being monitored strictly. And if we just step outside of the directives, yeah, that's it. They're not going to give us second chances because they don't need us. So this is again where we need to be humble as change makers and understand, okay, if we are going to do that way, well, we'll have to play by their book, their rule book. If we want to do it according to the original reality field dynamics, same there. There are no lesser rules there. Actually, they're worse because the original construction is being reset to default, and that means it's returning to its functionality as it were programmed under the ancient ones. And the ancient ones, they were 10 times worse. They ran through these universal cycles in what we could say a time scheme that is beyond concept of. They just did it so quickly because they just played by all of the rules and all of the laws and all of the principles because they were the first. So they did that. So they seeded in, this is how it's done, the correct manner. And that's part of the construction. And then we came in with the LPU and began tampering with that one and tampering with it again during the timeline event and tampering again after the timeline event and tampering again within the restoration program. And it has been tampered with so many times. So all of these add-ins are now falling apart and are literally falling into the abyss and decomposing. Hence, also the progressive walls are pulling everything that's viable out, and the original construction is returning to its original settings of this is how it's supposed to be done. And everything else that doesn't follow that one, into the abyss. So everything is speeding up in terms of follow the rules, follow the laws, follow the principles, or follow the laws, follow the directives, and follow the regulations. You decide yourself. Do you want to continue to exist, or are you ready to go into the abyss with full music and the song going on? I'm still standing, right? Elton John, right? So sorry, there's a little bit of a joke there to lighten up the heavy energy. But this is where we are now. We are on the evac. And when a system goes under evac, that's where you get the absolute final chance to prove that you are more than what should just be sucked into the abyss and cease to exist entirely because you have not lived up to the requirements of the universal cycle that you're part of. And it's done. It's closing down. We're moving on. So as change makers and in our implementation process, we have now worked through the progression works and know how to do that one. We have worked through some of the psychological challenges, both in the basic concepts, but also here in Changemaker course 1, 2, and 3. And now we're looking at the implementation into the new way of living and how the challenges are going to be that in opposition or alongside with the new reality programs. And I will also be making the new reality program course material where you will get the highest level. If you really need to get the science, it will be like study quantum sciences mathematically, although I will explain it, of course, and I will not use mathematics, but just to kind of get the understanding of the level. So I know it's not for all, but I have been asked to make it, and I've also been asked to not put it out for free because I wanted to do that to begin with, but I was told that it's not the time. Those who want to be part of the forerunners, they must invest in it and not just get it handed over, because there is, when we talk about the regulations, there are a difference between investing into something, which is a trade, from where you do the low participation. They trade to become part of something. Then if you're given it for free, then it is what we call within the commonwealth, and then it's not protected. Then it's open for all as we're seeing it on the internet. And that means also transhuman and whatever. So therefore, I can't just put it out for free as things are now. So I will put up the 4 courses as they are unfolding with the level we have now, and that will be the foundational understanding. Similarly, as when I'm doing the New Living whole project, New Living will also be, or this course will also be the foundational level from where you will develop your own skill set of how you can adapt it and implement it into your everyday life and into your type of energy system, and that follows your type of original genetic purposes and functionality. Because that's some of the keywords that are enormously important when we talk about a new way of living. That is to begin to understand, what is your emplacement? What are you? Who are you? What is your energy system? What are your consciousness potentials? And how far did you get earlier on? And this is not about me doing a template reading for you, because this is something you should know yourself by what you're seeing in your energy work, by what you are getting in your clearing work, by the memories you have. If you constantly have memories of being part of wars, it should give you an indication of, perhaps my energy system used to be some sort of warrior. So is it an implemented program? Is it part of the artificial timelines? Or is it actually my original constitution? Or is it the reversed version, artificially run by the negative races, because I originally used to be an elder and a diplomat. So therefore they have done this reconfiguration so that I will create distortion. So these are some of the things you need to figure out yourself. And what lineage are you born into inside this base program? And what program are you under? Are you enslaved, imprisoned, or have you gone into the de-root, into the abyss part of humanity? Or are you under the retirement program? What's going on? You should know these things yourself, because you can't instigate changes if you don't know yourself what you need to change. Not because someone tells you to do so, because that never works. You have, it's like me telling you, you need to get up. If you want to be part of the new reality programs, you need to exercise some sort of heavy exercise, whether it's running, bicycling, swimming, dancing, trekking, whatever it is. You need to get your energies up and going at least 2 hours per day so that you can purify your molecular state. That's one way to keep the pollution and the contamination down, as well as keeping the energetic parasites at bay, because they don't like that. So that's a requirement. But me telling you that is not the same as you actually doing that. And that's part of what we're going to look at the New Living here, and I might go further into the exercise, which you are seeing now on my website as well. I already have the course material ready, but it's not time yet to alter it and put it into what we could say a system yet. It's not, the time is not ready yet. It will come later on, and that will bridge into the Forerunner course too, where we will begin to work with the new chromosomal features that should render us a continued strength on a molecular state that will keep us part of the new reality program. So now we are in the preliminary phase where we decide whether or not we want to be part of it by our everyday lives. And how we do that and how we do that will then grant us the potentials and the energies and the information that we need to build the new chromosomal feature that will allow us to be seeded in directly into what we call the sustaining holographic network, or sustaining holographic information systems that are run by the host fields and that are part of what we could call the future human communities. So with that little introduction to this course material, see you in the next video. Thank you.